All right. Hello. It has been a couple of days. One sec while I just get everything set up. This goes here. That one there. Move this over to the here. That one sit there. Probably throw this over here for the time being. All right. Cool. So, last time we were streaming, we were still working away on these Space Marines. And, I floated the idea of having a couple of different projects going and just sort of alternating between them. Keep things interesting, prevent burnout for myself and for you guys. So it's not just constantly Space Marines. Well, not just constantly the same thing that I'm just slaving away at stream after stream. And I've had some minis lying around for weeks now, which I've really wanted to get onto, but I just haven't found the time. And so one of those is this 3D printed mini that I got from a third-party vendor. The same guys who did the what do we call it? The croc that I had done. He can't hear me over the construction next door. Your one off day to catch a stream. Yeah, that sucks. Like even with headphones, you're unable to hear it. That what are they doing over there? But yeah. Anyway, I've got this 3D printed model here. Lots of supports there. But basically, this model is meant to show up. It's going to, well, the finished product is meant to look like this here. So that'll be very, very cool. You ordered 3 Knights, 1 Warhound, and a Reaver Titan. Woohoo! Jesus, Silver. that can't have been cheap. But yeah, anyway, this is what this mini is supposed to come out like. I'm not sure if I want to have it look exactly like this though, because I am very into Thousand Suns, and I feel like this could be an awesome proxy for Ahriman with a little bit of work. So I like the idea of adapting this with some green stuff, shaving off some of the details, and converting it to look more like Ahriman. So that could be a lot of fun to do. And then sort of making the Space Marine that he's pulling shit out of there, to make that a Space Wolf. That'd be really cool, I reckon. So for the time being, we're just gonna toil away at getting this going. I'll make this a bit smaller on the side here, and I'll actually have an image of Ahriman up there as well, just so we have a point of reference of the stuff that we're going for. Let's zoom this in a bit. But yeah, anyway, I'll just get right onto the cutting it out, and we'll just get going. There are a lot of parts here. It'll be a bit fiddly. But yeah, let's just get right into it. What we'll need, where's my knife? Since I'm also, well, so we'll get our cutters. Get our knife. I'll get some of my little sculpting tools as well, because I am very interested in trying to work with green stuff. That could be a lot of fun. So we might end up needing these later on. So we've got our sculpting tools, and I think that should be pretty good for the time being. We can always come back and get some more shit out of the box if need be. So, let's just start cutting out the parts. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to cut out as many of the parts as I can beforehand, just so that we can sort it all out, because I'm not going to assemble the whole thing at once, because I'm going to want to sort of assemble different sections and then glue it all together at the end. Now, this is not the first 3D printed mini that I've cut out, but the number of sprues on this thing is nightmarish. So I'm just going to try to separate the different sections of the base, just so that I'm not working on this one massive lump. There's so many parts that I'm having to sort of shave away, find the bits that I can split off from the block. There we are. There's one. Looks like we've got... this is a book here. This is his grimoire with his little hand on top. We'll set that down over there. There's an alternate version of the book over here as well, but we can get that off now. He only has 2 arms. That's lame. Hey, Tiki, you never know. There are a lot more than 2 arms in this set here. There's that Space Marine down there. He's got arms. One of them might make its way onto the Sorcerer. You never know. This will be a 1,000 Sun Sorcerer, so look, the flesh change is an amazing thing. He can have as many arms as I want him to have. Reality is what I want it to be. Ooh, that bit went flying. Oh wow, that's right under my desk. I will say, this 3D printed resin is really, really gross for me to work with, because it's got this slightly slimy texture that like gets stuck on my fingers. It's fine once I give it a bit of a rinse and then after it's primed, because then I don't have to touch it. But it's really gross to touch. It's especially bad on the base, where it's just like a really big slab. Like, you can see how it's kind of shiny. Oop, whoops. But yeah, in the last one of these 3D printed minis that I built, I accidentally ended up defacing a lot of the tiny details, because I didn't recognize that that's what they were at the time when I was cleaning up the model. This time, I'm probably going to end up deliberately defacing a lot of the details, because I want to adapt it and make it my own sort of thing. You started your Imperial Guard painting tonight? Righto, how's it going, Silver? Because you had a lot of work cut out for you, don't you? You've got a big regiment to build. Yeah, 30 infantry, 10 Ogrins right now working on their coats. Righto. Yes, a fair bit to do. A lot more than I've been working on, because I have, like, over there, I'm only doing 10 of these guys, and that's taking me forever, so. Yeah, I don't think that Guard will ever be one of the armies that I'll start building, at least not in the foreseeable future, just because of the sheer number of models that you have to go through. I'm doing my best to make sure I keep each individual part on its own separate section of base so that I don't lose track of anything. I think we've got it all now. Cool. Oh, such a gross texture. You can see like the shiny stuff on my fingers from touching it. Ugh. Not a fan. Oh, my fingers are sticky. Okay. So, when it comes to building, we can put the legs and the torso together. I'm probably happy to do that because that's not going to interfere with a whole lot. Let's see if we can find his torso. Oh, we've got two separate sections here, so we'll split these. Yeah, you want to get in three of the tanks and a chimera for each of your infantry units. Yeah, just help pad it out so that it's not just a just an army of foot soldiers. Okay, so we've got the torso. And then we'll need both of his legs. I need to make sure I get his legs and not the Space Marine's legs, like the Space Marine that he's sacrificing. Let's find all of the legs we can. This looks like the leg of a Chaos Sorcerer, so we'll set that one aside. I think this is the Space Marine here, so we'll put that one there. There we go. Sorcerer leg, Space Marine leg. I think this is another Sorcerer leg. Let's see if we can find the other legs. Another, I think that's the other Space Marine leg. There's not going to be like an additional leg anywhere, is there? Got an arm here. Let's try and group these all up by parts. I think this is an arm. I have no idea what this is. There's a hand there. Split that off and put the hand with the arms. I think... Oh, there's a hand there as well. This can go with the arms as well. This is the, I think this is the Space Marine getting sacrificed. So we'll put him up here, and we'll put his legs with him. Then we've got, I think this is a Chaos Sorcerer's shoulder. Put that there. We've got magic. Put that one off to the side. There's so much stuff here. I need to get this organized so that I don't lose all my parts. Okay, so Sorcerer. His legs. I think these are his. This is one of his shoulders. This is hand with magic. This is I don't know what this is. This might be... I don't know what this is. Unknown. It can go in the middle. This is a head. I think there's another head variant. Oh, there's actually something else buried underneath there, I think. Oh no, that's all just part of the head. Well, that could actually have to do with the magic, not the sorcerer's head. Trying to figure out. Oh yeah, no, that's part of the magic. That's not part of the head. So magic can come down here. Magic. We've got an arm and a shoulder. We'll split these. Shoulder. Arm. Unknown. This is his head. Weapon can come over here. Magic. His backpack. Yeah, that's his power pack. So that can come up here. I think this is part of his robe. And this is part of his robe. Oh, okay, this is his tabard. And this is his robe. Tabard and robe can go there. Okay. Oh, got all this gross sticky stuff on my fingers from the 3D resin. Well, let's do the straightforward stuff first. Let's just get the base out of the way because it's a big piece. And I know that there won't really be a whole lot to do with it. I don't know what the proper procedure for, like, what if there's like a proper way to get 3D printed models off of their supports. But I'm just sort of breaking the sprues halfway and then healing it back, and then I can you know, I can clean it up at the end. Because it seems, at least the sprues from this maker, come away really easily. Like, you can see the point where they actually connect is really, really thin. So they're very easy just to pull away, and then I can clean them up with a knife. Although, honestly, I don't really need to clean it up that much. Like, it's pretty much seamless. I can just scrape it a little bit just to get the little bumps where it was, but it's pretty good. Yeah, and like, that's already very, very smooth. So we've got our base at least. Part of the base. So, let's do the torso and legs. And I will probably try to edit these to be more like Ahriman. So once I get these cut out, and I've put the torso and legs together, I'll actually have a look at my reference image for Ahriman and see if I can make some stuff out of the green stuff putty, just to sort of bring him more in line with Ahriman's design. Because I haven't used green stuff before, but I really want to learn, and I feel like if I'm going to build Thousand Suns, I want to have a model of Ahriman, and I've got this really cool Chaos Sorcerer here, so why not just adapt it to be Ahriman? Like, if I'm going to have a Chaos Sorcerer mini that's this cool, it may as well be one of my named characters. I'm just going to adjust my light because I feel like it's a bit of an awkward angle. Alright, let's see how this is. That's a bit better, I reckon, at least. And there are a couple of little imperfections here and there on the 3D print, but they should be easy enough to clean up with the knife. Okay, that's the torso looking pretty good. Let's get his legs. I probably don't even need to use my cutters here. I can just use my knife to break the sprues. They're that thin. Yeah, Yeah, that was very easy. I reckon for this one I might actually use the cutters, just because it's a bit more of an awkward one to access. Yeah, and this one will need a bit of cleaning up. There's definitely still some sprues left attached to it. Hey. Is looking pretty good. Just see how this all fits together. Believe that's the right, the correct leg placement, because otherwise it'd be like this. No, that's definitely not it. Well, let's at least glue the legs in, because it won't close off the model too much. Still plenty of access to paint it. Oop. Lost my bits. Let's get to it. Now, 3D resin cannot be glued with plastic cement, so we're going to need to use super glue for it. So just giving my super glue a good shake. And then just a tiny little drop in there. Hopefully, this will glue in nicely. seems to be gluing quite well. There's a little bit of super glue spilling out, but we can always clean that up. In fact, I might just use a sculpting tool while that dries, just to pull away any excess glue. And let's get another drop in that hole. And again, we've got some excess glue spilling out. So just with a sculpting tool, just going to need to come back through and scoop away that excess glue. And I can sort of let some of the excess glue stay there, because even though there's a little gap that's visible, since it's full of glue, that glue should help give some body to that gap, and we shouldn't need to worry about seeing a gap once it's all primed, because the glue's essentially become part of the model. But we'll set these aside and let them dry. What can we do next? Let's actually have a quick look at our reference images, because what are some of the things that we want to actually adapt to make it more like Ahriman? The staff needs to change, so I'll cut out the staff and see what we need to do to it. It's one thing I've noticed with 3D prints. When I'm cutting the sprues, I essentially need to get the cutters on the sprues and then close my hand around them and cut, because otherwise resin goes flying everywhere. Oh shit. Oh man, okay. I snapped a section of the staff there. It's not the end of the world. I should be able to fix that, but that's a bit frustrating. Nothing a bit of glue can't fix, but that's what I get for being too zealous and trying to cut half the sprues at once. So once we get this all cut out, we'll clean it all up, apply some glue to fix it, and then while it's fixing, we'll think about what we need to do to make it look more like Ahriman. Okay, there's a little hand there as well. You can see the little sprue where the hand, or the little pin where the hand will go into the wrist. So we can get rid of everything except that pin. It'll probably be easier for me to clean this up with my hands with my fingers for the most part, rather than using my cutters. Just pull away what little bits we can, and then for any thicker sections which refuse to budge, we can come through with the cutters. Yeah, I can say that the amount of mess generated by 3D prints cannot even compare when it comes to like, well, I guess regular minis. It's just so much less mess than 3D printed ones. Yeah, so our stuff has snapped clean in half. So let's just clean up the haft first, and then we can come through and clean up the head of the stuff. Yeah, I think what's happened is some of the supports have blended together, so they're actually firmer than the staff itself, and that's why we had it snap while we were trying to split them. Like this section of the supports in particular, you can see there's like 4 or so pins which have all just fused together. Yeah, unfortunately, these bits don't really offer a lot of space for me to get a firm grip so that I can get some nice solid cuts going. Instead, it's just a lot of fiddling around. But since the resin is a bit softer than plastic, don't need to put as much force into it to clean up the little sections. Now that your children are sugared up, you shall abandon them with your wife. Evil, evil man. Okay, that's the haft of the staff. Let's just clean up the head now. And then we can figure out how we want to adjust it to look like Ahriman. How's it going? Yeah, not too bad. We're getting there. The 3D print is a bit of a pain to clean up nicely because of just how many supports there are. But we're getting there. Also, it has this really gross sort of sticky feeling that comes from the resin, which it just, like, you can see that the bits just stick to me, which is a bit nasty. I have like I have like this really weird thing for texture, so just having this sticky film all over my hands is really bugging me out. But it is what it is. Making good progress. Because yeah, what we're doing is the bottom picture here is what this 3D print looks like assembled, but I want it to be more like this top picture. So Ahriman is like a really big Thousand Sun sorcerer, and I want to use this really cool model to represent this really cool character. So I'll need to adapt it in some ways. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. I'm gonna be figuring out, I'm gonna be playing around with some sculpting putty to see if I can adapt some of the parts of this 3D print to align with the photo that I've got up above. Sounds like I've got my hands full. Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. It is my first time using sculpting putty, so it'll be good fun. Hey, let's glue this stuff back together, and then while it's gluing, we can figure out what we want to do with the putty. Yep, so it'll need to sit like that. Cool. Touch of glue on there. That's way too much, so what we'll do is we'll set it in place like that, pull it together, and then once it starts to grab, we can clean up the excess. Just need to fit it nicely. I think that's good. Oh, I'm so bad at this. I'm gonna make such a mess. I think this is good. I'm just gonna hold very, very still for a little bit and hope that this grabs. Think we're getting there. Having trouble deciding on whether or not to get a Rhino to go with your Infernus Marines or get a captain so the sergeant has someone to report to? It's all up to you, mate. The larger models are fun, but I will warn you, this is the biggest mistake that I had. I deluded myself into thinking that bigger minis are easier to paint because the details will be bigger. It's not the case. If you get a Rhino, it's just a bigger mini that has more little details for you to do. But it's a great learning experience either way. If you enjoyed the process of painting the little dudes, then there's no reason not to go for the sergeant, or no reason not to go for the captain. Okay, now that this is holding enough, I'm gonna come back through with my sculpting tool and just clean up any excess super glue, just so that it's not all lumpy. There we are, that should be pretty good. We'll let that set. Just noticed in the top here, I've actually got a sprue there that I missed. I reckon I honestly might end up just cutting the whole top off of this staff anyway. We'll see how we go. Because what are we looking at? We're going to need, for the staff, let's just clean out a little space. Let's move all of our bits that we haven't worked on yet over to our right-hand palette, or up above, and make a nice smooth space on our cutting board to use for sculpting. Let's put the lid back on our glue so that doesn't dry. Okay, now, the main bits that I reckon I will be changing are going to be the staff, the head, which is similar-ish to what we've got here with Ahriman. It's similar, kind of, but not really. So what we'll want to change is we'll it needs to be less beak-like, and we need to adapt the sort of ears on top. Probably cut them and make our own ears, our own horns, and then extra horns out the sides. Shave off the nose of the face. Seems pretty good otherwise. I think a little bit will need to be done to the torso. Not a whole lot. The torso is somewhat in line with what we want. As you see, we've got the... Oh, actually, I can't see it there, but... Oh, is that what that unknown piece is? Don't know. I might need to shave some of the detail of the torso here away. We'll see how it goes. But I'm pretty sure somewhere in all of the mess of parts that I have here, there is something that makes his belt look very similar to Ahriman's, so that should be fine. The hardest one for me is probably going to end up being the staff. Because as you can see, the staves are quite different. So I think what I might end up doing is I might cut that whole wolf head, just I might cut this section here along and down, just cut that off entirely, and then extend this out a little bit with some putty, and then I can build on top of that, like so. And then I can make little things that hang down there and there. And I think that then we'll have a good staff. I think that actually, yeah, this is a really nice frame for the T-piece of the staff if we just take the wolf head out. Yeah, so let's see how that goes. I've got to be careful with it because I don't want to ruin it too much, at least, because I know that I'm defacing it. But I just want to be nice and careful. So I'm just going to cut wedges out of it so that I can access the internal bits a bit easier without risking snapping everything. Yeah, let's just whittle away at it, taking out chunks that we can reach. How much more do you think we need to get rid of? I think if we just smooth this section, just round it up, then honestly we don't need to do too much more. Yeah, I reckon. Let's just take the edge off here. I might just use my knife for this. Just pinch this towards my hand. Just shave it down into the shape that I want it to be. And so you just want to shave down the back edge of it as well. Okay, I reckon this is more or less pretty good. I think I might shave this back a little bit along here. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how this is. This is truly a Zinch-inspired stream. We are changing the initial form of the model to be more what we want. So I will do my best not to cut myself. Keep those filthy cornates out of here. Hello. Hey, Iron of the Spoon, how you going? You've caught us right as what I'm doing is I'm trying to adapt this staff to be more like Ahriman's staff. So originally it had a full wolf head on the bottom there, so I've sort of carved that out so that I can get more of a T-piece. And then I'm going to use some putty to extend that out a bit. And then build up Ahriman's staff. Good, good, that's good. Hey. So let's just clean out our working space a bit so that we don't get gross stuff all through our putty as we're working with it. Actually, what I'll do as well, I'll set a little bit of baking paper down so it doesn't pick up anything from the mat. And yeah, so we'll be working with the green stuff here. This is my first time working with modeling putty, so bear with me. We'll start off with just a little bit of it. I'll store the rest of this away just so that that it doesn't start going off on us. So I'll pour that back in the packet. Didn't pick up any plastic with it. Oh no, I did. There it is. If I can get that plastic off of the hardener. I guess it'll come off as I start working with it. Let's just wet our fingers so that it doesn't start sticking to us as we work with it. See if we can pick up the putty that's stuck to our knife there. Perhaps I should have tried to get it off the knife before I wet my fingers. Actually, I'll just use a sculpting tool. Oh, even that's struggling. There we are. Go. Okay, yeah. So, the green stuff here, it's a 2-part epoxy. The blue part is the hardener, green is the filler itself. Just gonna work it through until it's all nicely mixed. And then we'll be able to start working with it. Wet our fingers a little bit more so that it stops sticking to us. Okay, this should be pretty good to work with. So, what we're trying to do is we want to extend the staff a little bit. Just a little bit. So we'll probably only need this little section that I have at the end, beyond my thumb and my forefinger. So let's just cut off that little end bit. Leave the rest up there. And then again, just wet our fingers a little bit so that we can work with it. Just roll it out to be a bit long. Really double it over a bit because it's a bit thicker. And how long do we want it to be? Probably only about this much, right? Like that is probably plenty. So we'll mold this around to sit in line. And then using one of our sculpting tools, we'll wet the end of it so it doesn't stick to the tool. But let's pull this up and over. What we want is we don't want it to all be bunched up on that side. Actually, just see if we can cut it there. There we are, that's better. We'll wrap what we can around that little stump of the staff there. And then just extend it out. Just pinching it so that it's about the same thickness as the staff itself. And that's about as long as I reckon we want it to be. Just want to make sure it's the right thickness. And we can start sculpting it. Hey Francois, how you going? So we'll use the end of our sculpting tool here just to cut in. I think what we want to do... what legion is this? This is going to be Thousand Suns. It's a third-party model, so I'm adapting it to be Ahriman if I can. So the image we've got down the bottom is what the third-party model will looks like when it's finished. And so, like, it looks like that, but I think it's a really cool model. But I like Thousand Suns, so I want to see if I can adapt this to instead be Ahriman. So what I'm doing right now is I am editing the staff to be more like Ahriman's staff, as you can see there. So I've cut out the wolf head, and I'm building out the T-piece, and then I'm going to put the horns on top. I think if we lift up the edges of it a bit, and then sort of brace it with the bottom of my thumb, or brace the bottom with my thumb, and then I can sort of probably cut into the end there. I need to wet the tool so that it doesn't stick to the tool. But just You hate the Invictus Warsuit more and more every time you touch it. It's giving you a lot of grief, is it? Do that, and then do another bump there. And then if I lift all of this up and pinch it again, because I keep sort of making it a little bit wider than it should be. I keep needing to pinch it every now and then. It's not ideal, but I think as it sets a little bit and gets a little bit harder, I should be able to work on it a bit. Maybe that's what I should do, is I should just make it the general shape and let it set. And then I come back through with some more green stuff and just do the detailing once this is set. Because I think, honestly, this is pretty good for a T-piece. I don't think I need to go too much further on the general structure of it. As long as I just make sure it's the right thickness, which it seems to be. Like I turn it sideways there and you can't see it sticking out. Turn it sideways here and you can't see the grey sticking out. I think we're pretty good. Let's just set this aside and let it set. We've got our other, we've got our spare green stuff here. So I think what we're gonna do here is just, there was some other bits that I wanted to do. Oh yeah, okay. Let's work on the horns of the staff while we can. Actually, there's a few things that we want to do. We want to make the bits that hang from the staff and the horns that stick out the top. So I reckon for the horns, the model is terry bad. Okay, that is a scathing review of the Invictus Warsuit. I haven't had to deal with it, so I will take your word for it. What I'll do here, I'll actually get I'll get a brush and just wet the round part of it so I can use it as a rolling pin. Just get all this together. Just see if I can flatten this out a bit. Oops, started to stick. Wet this a bit more. Okay. I reckon I then take about half of it this way. And then split that in half again. I can probably turn each of these into a horn for the staff. Just keep re-wetting my fingers so they don't stick to the putty. Then if we just roll this together. It's a bit longer than I probably would like, so just gonna squish it back down. And we're just gonna keep pinching it from the sides, sort of extend it out to the length that we want it to be. A little longer. And this is probably pretty good. Get it to about here, and then if we look at the staff, because we want it to I reckon this is probably a pretty good length for it. We set it up onto the stuff like this. Set it outwards. Now bear with me, this is my first time using putty. It's probably going to look atrocious. But we'll do what we can. That's the general shape we want to have. So we want it to go out, and then back in, and then back out. Like that sort of thing. It's too thick at the bottom, so I need to sort of pull some of the thickness up the length of it. Maybe I'm better off trying to sculpt it without having it attached to the staff, because that just sort of complicates things. Yeah, maybe what I should do is I should sculpt it, get the shape right, and then just stick it to the staff. That'd probably be easier. I think this is more or less what it is. It has quite a big flare at the bottom. I think it's like this sort of thing. Needs to be a little longer. Oh, I think a tiny bit longer. Which is fine because it's a bit thick at the moment. We can thin it a little bit. Stand up a bit taller. I think that's a lot better. I think that's quite good. So now the issue is, how do I get the texture of the staff correct? Do I let it set a bit and then start working into it? Because I'm scared of messing with the shape of it. Actually, I need to realize that the this bit can't cross over this center point. It needs to go out quite a bit initially. The initial flare needs to be much wider, and then the point can't taper in as much. So it's more this sort of shape here that we'll need to work with. Because then we can set that in like that. Stand it up a bit higher. I reckon what we'll do is we'll just get the shape right, and then we'll carve it once it's set. If I can just get the shape right, then we'll be chilling. think this is more or less okay like this. Sculpt all the pieces I need, let them cure, and then glue them to the staff. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I just want to make sure they're the right thickness for the staff. But I guess, again, if they're too thick, then I can come back and grind them down. Off to bed. Good night, Hensley. I'll catch you later. So this should be good. I'll just take that bottom edge off there so that it's a bit nicer. But this is pretty good. So I'll just duplicate this. So wet our fingers again. Pick up our second piece. And I should be able to make an exact copy of this because it's the same amount of material we're working with. Actually, I think I got a little bit less material on this one, so we'll just need to yoink a bit from up here. So, I think if I just hold it over it while I work with it, it'll be easier for me to get the shape in the right sort of space. I think I've just got less material there. So I don't need this bit anyway. I forgot to wet the knife before I cut it, so it started to stick to the knife, and now I've warped it. I am such a fool. Just make sure this is still okay. Yeah, no, I warped it. I am such a fool. I reckon I just need to get a noodle. Like that. And then just get the bits that I like, just push it into the shape I need, and then let it cure, and then I can stick it on. So, out. Then in and then out. I believe I had it and then I just ruined it. Yeah, wet my fingers again. It's all sticking. It might be easier if I actually use a sculpting tool, because I can get a nice even mold around it then. Yeah, that gave a nice even curve. And then I come back through from behind. It's more what we want. Then we just play around with that a little bit. That's better. So now I just need to flatten it because it's way too wide. But that's better. Let's lift this off. And then just gently try to shape it back into a nice narrow and round form. You too. Good night, Francois. See you later. But this is pretty good. And that can just go on the top there. Just need to pull the top bend back a bit. Lift the top edge up, and that should be good. Again, we can always mold it some more if need be. Like that. That'll be good. It's good enough for me. Just need to duplicate that and not ruin it again like I did a second ago. Oh. So, how are we going to do this? We'll do a flat base to it. And then... Actually, I could probably just make it the same way I made the previous one. I just pop it there. I can get it the right thickness, roughly the right height. Get my sculpting tool, wet it. And then just push in here. Just so that we can get the curve. Just as a starting point. Need to get some more thickness around the S piece here. I could draw the piece on paper, then put my green stuff on the drawing and sculpt away. That's really smart. That is way smarter than I am. Yeah, okay. I'll see if I feel like I might be close. I'll see if this is close enough, and if it isn't, I will trace this and then just sculpt it out of that. That is a really good idea. Let's just see how close I got. I think think this is pretty good. Looks pretty good. This might be good enough for me. Because if I just do that, and then that, I'm gonna wet my fingers again so it stops sticking to me. Got those bits there. And then the staff. And then I'll be able to sculpt away. I think this is pretty good. I think that's... I'm satisfied with that. And then we can sculpt it once it dries. So we probably shorten that one, cut out these outside edges here, and then carve in the details. I'm happy to just set these aside and let them dry. But that drawing them on the paper beforehand and then sculpting around them is a genius idea that I never would have come. It's not. It's probably not even that genius. I'm just stupid. It's a good idea. I might actually do that for some of the other bits, because some of the other bits that I will need to sculpt will be things like his shoulder pads, because they do not match at all. So I'm going to take this stuff here and set it aside for the time being, somewhere where I'm not going to get sticky bits all over it. I don't want to accidentally get plastic shavings sticking to the staff. Separate all these bits so that they don't set together. Let's move this out of the way. And start doing our next bits. So, remember you do this daily, you've been doing it a long time. Yeah, fair enough. So, let's just go back to, where is it? Here we are. Let's see if we can get his arms on. Because the arms don't appear to, in the final product, interfere with the paintability of it that much. So, we've got his torso, shoulder. I think this is some of the armor around his waist, so we don't need to worry about that. Head, shoulder, backpack. I think my arms are over, so we've got cape over here. That can go there. This is one of his arms. Hang on. This arm has a shoulder pad. I'm not sure if this is one of his arms or if this is one of the Space Marine's arms. This might be a Space Marine arm here. I think it is. Put it up there for the time being. I think that's another one of his bits. This is one of his hands. This is one of his hands casting magic. This arm is, I think, another one of the Space Marine's arms. This is part of the magic. This is one of his hands. This, I think, is an arm with no hand. And this is his tabard. So, what are the options that I have for his body? I need to get like the website where it has the different assemblies up so that I can have a look. So there's him just holding out a book. There's him holding out a book and pulling shit out of the Space Marine. there's him sending shit out of the book. I probably want to do, and there's also him pointing. I think I want to do the version where he's pulling shit out of the Space Marine, because that's very cool. So, for that, I believe these bits go together, because it does something like this. Go back, need a drink. Righto. Yeah, I believe that's this setup here. So this is what we want for his arms. Well, that's for his right arm. So we don't need the blank book. We won't need the pointing hand, but we will need the blank arm here. So that'll be like this coming out of his torso. So that'll be that, which then goes to the hand holding the book. And then this thing that I couldn't identify before, I now recognize is his other arm. Yeah, again, for some of these really small sections, the supports have kind of merged together. They've fused in the printing process. So they're a bit more of a pain to clean away. But we're getting there. What are these extra sections here? That's magic. That's also magic. They are for... Ah, okay. So I believe in the setup where he's doing stuff to the Space Marine, this claw section is underneath the Space Marine, holding him in some way. We'll figure it out. We're not that far yet. Okay, that's one arm cut out. Find the other arm and cut it out so that I can figure out which one goes where. You're back? Welcome back. Just trying to clean up these little sprues here and there. That seems mostly good. So now we can figure out which arm is which. So if we put this one here, this seems right because then we've got the elbow sitting on the outside, as opposed to if we put it there. Yeah, it's definitely not that. Whereas with this arm, if that goes in like this, then the part with the book would just go in there. That makes sense to me. So let's get the book, which is this one here. Really cool that they've even, like, the printer's even got details on the book there. Like, I don't know how they managed to print such fine little engravings there. I'd be able to pick that out, which is quite cool. I hope I'll be able to pick that out. Man, there's so many sprues on the bottom of this. I think I've got enough where I should just be able to peel it up. Nope, not yet. Oh, actually, there we are. Okay, and now we can just carefully whittle away the bits. Big up, Sammy. Hey, Eisenhorn, how you going? you've caught us in the middle of what I'm doing is the 3D print that I'm making is so the model is the bottom image that I've got over here. That's what the 3D print will look like when assembled, but I want to adapt it to be like Ahriman, because it's a really cool print, and I want this really high quality model to be like, since I've got Thousand Suns, I want to have the really cool Chaos Sorcerer that I built. I want it to be Ahriman, so I'm sort of in the middle of trying to adapt the parts here and there. So I've got some putty that I'd use to do the staff drying off to the side now, and while that dries, I'm just working on all the other little bits. Just fighting a battle against the thousands of little sprues left over from the print. Ah, shit. Okay, I just snapped that bit off. We'll need to glue that back together. Did not expect it to break there. I guess it's a really thin piece. So let's just clean up that little bit that I was working on, and then we can glue that back together. Man, you're gonna shut down? Your headache is getting worse. See you tomorrow? Yep, see you later, Silver. I don't know if I'll be streaming tomorrow. I should catch you in 2 days, though, if you're available then. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Get some rest. Thanks for dropping by, mate. And I'll see you later. Okay, let's see if we can glue these bits back together. See how they're actually meant to fit first. Looks like I can't even see where they snapped apart. It might be better off just seeing how they fit to the next pieces and then going from there. Oh, okay, it was there. I think it was like this. Okay, yeah, that's where they connected. Yeah, very little surface area there. I'm pretty sure this is where they were. Looks about right. I could be wrong though, so what I'll do, I'll just set them aside. And then when it comes time to fit it all together, we'll just glue it then. Let's just clean up the sprues here. The rubbery texture of the resin makes it a bit weird to try to scrape. To smooth out these little blemishes. It's a different experience than working with the Games Workshop plastic. I think that's mostly good. Just need to clean up the pin where it'll actually fit into the wrist there. Alright, let's see if we can get it into the wrist now. I believe we figured out that this one here was the right hand. Looks about right to me. See if we can find how this pushes in. Yeah, that looks like it to me. So let's get those bits glued in. It'll be just the tiniest bit of super glue. I'll just put a little bit on the end of one of my sculpting tools. Just like that. And then if we can just put that in there. It's still going to be a bit much there. So we'll need to clean off the excess when we're done. And we just get our hand and we push that in. Actually, we might not need to clean off any excess, just looking at it. Just need to make sure this fits properly. I think that's right. That looks pretty good to me. Might just see if we can fit it in a little more tightly. You can see that there's a little gap at the wrist there. Probably push in a little bit more firmly. Although no, it doesn't seem to want to go any further. That's pretty good. It's not super noticeable, and I don't think it should throw off the balance of anything else. So then we'll get a bit of super glue and put it in the arm join here, the shoulder socket. Put the lid back on our glue so it doesn't dry. And pop that one in there. Like a glove. Just hold it there for a second so the glue has time to dry. There we are, that's grabbed. And there isn't too much excess, and what little excess there is, you can see around the back there, is actually kind of helping to fill that join. And I think it won't really matter because most of this will have a shoulder plate going over it, covering it up anyway. We'll just leave that there. And yeah, we can put the other arm together. Because the other arm is going to be the one with the staff. That'll have a shoulder plate, and then the staff will be in like this-ish. The shoulder plate and the staff will go in like that or something. Something along these lines. So yeah, once the putty for the staff is set, we can start sculpting away at that. But we can put his arm in at least. And then just put the hand with the staff on it in at the end. Probably want this to sit like this. Any other angle would sort of throw it all off. Yeah, because then when it's in like that, then you can hang on to the staff like that. That seems about right to me. Although, I'm wondering if that would get in the way of his head. And if I might need to change the angle at which he holds the staff somehow. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, honestly. If need be, I can always just cut it down so that he holds the staff at a slightly different angle. Haven't bent this weirdly, have I? No, it seems alright still. Okay. So, some of the bits that I had acknowledged that I will need to play around with are the shoulder pads, because these are very much not Ahriman's shoulder pads, as we can see here. His shoulder pads are quite different. One of them is similar enough. So this one here on the left is similar enough to his right-hand shoulder pad. But the other one, this one that on my right, is very, very different to his left-hand shoulder pad. So we'll need to do some experimentation there. I'll see if I can find a different angle of Ahriman's shoulders. Although I can't seem to find any images that show what his right-hand shoulder looks like. I've got his left shoulder, which is just a ram's skull. But what I think I might need to do, first of all, I'll figure out which shoulder is which. But then I might need to make a ram's skull for the other shoulder. Which I am not confident in my ability to do, so that'll be really cool. But let's cut the shoulders out in any case. We won't be gluing them in because they'll interfere with the painting process. But we can at least figure out what we're doing. And because I've still got some spare green stuff here that I haven't worked with. It's starting to go a bit hard, but I think I can still work with it. And I want to see if I can, yeah, mold it before it fully sets, because I don't want to waste it. we'll want to clean up the edges of the, like we'll want to clean up the rims of the shoulder pads as well, because Ahriman is not a spiky boy. I'm going to smooth this out where we can. Yeah, so we want to get rid of any of these really overt spikes where we can. We can always build the rims back up if we end up taking away too much. Yeah, the texture of the rim of this shoulder pad in particular, I might need to do a lot of work on this shoulder pad just to sort of bring it in line with what I want for it. Because it'll pretty much need to become completely smooth. It seems thick enough that I'll have plenty of room to grind away on it. Thankfully. Just clean up all this, all these shavings so that I know what I'm actually working with here. Might actually just wet my thumb and see if I can wipe it away like that. Yeah, that's actually quite helpful. Okay. Let's just figure out which shoulder pad this is going to be first of all. If I'm lucky, it shouldn't matter too much and I can go for either. That's how it sits on that one. And then that's how it sits on this one. I think it is meant to be over here. Just looking at that, it sits a lot more easily here. cut out the other one and just see if that is the case. Okay, so this is the other one, and I believe it should be made just to sit in here. Oh, actually, I don't know. Let's try it on the other side. It could just be that... Okay, I really don't know which one's which now. They both seem to sit quite nicely on this shoulder. Actually, what I can do is just have a look here. This would probably be the easiest way. Okay, it looks like the spiky one is the side that holds the book. Which is a little annoying because that's the one that I'm going to need to do the most work on, I think. Like the most patterning. It does sit there though, yeah. It's not amazing, but it does sit there. Actually, does it even really sit in there? Really, I didn't put the arm in at the wrong angle. No, it seems like that's right. Let's just see how that looks. Yeah. It needs to sit down a lot lower. I think it just needs to push forwards when I put it in. Yeah, it just needs to push forwards a bit. Okay. We can work with that. What I will need to do though is still clean up these shoulder pads, remove the spikes, because like I said, Ahriman is not a spiky boy. See if we can just clean up these little nubs where the spikes were. Oh, actually, I think this is probably an easier way to do it. Just pressing the knife down. That just sort of splits them off from the rim of the shoulder pad, and at the same time sort of cleans up my edge a bit. Yeah, there we are. That's a lot easier. Okay. Now this is the shoulder that's going to have the ram's head on it. I think rather than shave away all of this to make it flat, it might be easier for me to use this green stuff before it goes completely hard. And actually just very thinly mold it into the, or onto the shoulder plate there, just cover over what we've got. Like, cover it over, just fill in the little gaps there. So to do that, what we'll do, we'll moisten up the green stuff. We'll get some water on our cutting mat here. I'll throw that into the water there. Get a brush, wet the brush. Hello, Lael, how you going? And then we will just use the brush to roll this out really thin. Yeah, this will be very, very thin. And then if we peel this up, zoom this back in now. See what I'm doing. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of it to just tear off a small section. This is probably still going to be more than I need. But then if we just come over to the shoulder plate that we want to flatten. Is this blue tack? No, this is an epoxy sculpting putty. So it's going to set hard. So what we want to do is just press it over the shoulder plate here. completely over it. We want to get rid of the all the details there, and we'll push it in firmly. Need to make sure we keep wetting our thumbs so that it doesn't stick to us. Push this in. And then just use a wet sculpting tool just to really sort of smooth that out. Zoom this out a little bit because I realized that most of that was actually out of focus there, out of frame. What we're doing is we want this shoulder pad to be flat, so we're just blanking out the little bit of detail that was on it there. We only need the green stuff to be sitting on the pauldron itself. So we can just smooth that down into the sections where we need it to be. Then just with the point of it, just drag it off all of the raised sections. And then just pat it down on all the lower sections, smooth it out. Yeah, anywhere where it's built up too much, just see if we can sever it and pull it away. And I need to keep re-wetting my fingers just so that the green stuff doesn't stick to me. In fact, what I might actually do is just hang on to this with some tweezers, just so that I don't actually have to get my fingers anywhere near it. So just really pinch down here so that I can work away at it. It's pivoting a bit, need to get a different angle. Oh! That just fired off somewhere in my room. 1 second. I have no idea how far that just flew. Found it. Okay. That went quite far. Whoops. Tweezer's idea? I thought it was a good idea, honestly. Turns out, though, pinching down on a rounded surface with tweezers really hard can just shoot the object across the room. It's got a little bit of fluff on it that it picked up from the carpet, so I'm just gonna clean that away with some water. This front edge of the green stuff is looking really rough. I really want to smooth that out. The back is pretty good. Just the front is a bit icky. Just cut these sections away so that we can see where the shoulder pad really is. There we are. Now I know what to work with. It would be easier to build if you used all 3 arms. I am using all 3 arms, Tiki. I need to hold the camera. I think if I just press down with the this round tool here, I think I can shape it more or less into the shape of the shoulder pad here. Only 10 more models left to paint for you. Wow, okay, you're doing very well. I reckon this is good enough for general form, and then we can sculpt away at it. Like we can carve away at it once it's set a bit. You've become one with the contrast paint. You've been living on their bottles for the last 24 hours. They have accepted me as one of their own. Contrast paint does wonders. Yeah, that it is a the ultimate time saver. Yeah, just gonna push this down a little bit so I can define the line where the top of the shoulder pad is, where the rim is. Because then I reckon, as long as I can define where the rim is, I can come back through later and reconstruct it. I'd say this is probably good enough for the time being. And I can always carve away at it once this is set. So that's one shoulder. Now the other shoulder is going to be a pain. Because this other shoulder is very, very textured. Where did it go? should be in front of me somewhere. Ah, here it is. It's very, very textured. And I need it to be flat. So this one, I'm probably going to have to carve away at for a bit. As for how I'm going to do that, I think I'm just going to have to start chopping. Oh, this is scary. I'm putting a lot of pressure on this. There we are. That's more what we want. Flicking resin shavings everywhere doing this. Once I get rid of the worst of this, I should just be able to scrape it smooth. I just need to get rid of the really raised sections. This is actually not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Honestly, it might actually be easier than what I tried to do with the green stuff on the other shoulder. And it's kind of satisfying just hacking away at this. Need to rinse it so I can see what's left to actually do with it. Okay, we're getting there. We've gotten rid of most of the really raised ridges. Just smooth it out a bit more, and then we can start just scraping it to get a smoother finish. Because what we're going to want to do on this, the really painful part, is we're going to want to make a ram's skull somehow out of our green stuff putty. Put that on top. I do not think I'm capable of that, but we'll see. looking pretty good. So now we can just start doing the scraping. Oh, that sound is so good. Listen to this. Love that sound. This is so satisfying. This is the bit where we really smooth it out. Get a nice even finish on the shoulder. Okay, let's see how this is looking. Rinse it off. And that's pretty good. I'll just clean up the top edge there, because it's a bit rough. Honestly, actually, no, I reckon I can leave that top edge as is. And so then, we'll have that shoulder there. Oh wait, no, it'll be this shoulder here. Yeah, so that one goes there. And then our other one, our green one, is the one that will go around here. Like that. And I've just noticed that got some crap underneath the green one here, so I'll clean that out before it sets and blocks off anything. Looks like he needs an emotional support night. Maybe. Maybe. We'll see. There may or may not be one on the back burner, sitting there waiting. We'll see. Hey. Yeah, we should be able to just let this dry now. Got our shoulders there. Next bits. What can I put together that won't really obstruct it? I think, there's other bits that I've got will be the power pack. Will go there. I'm not sure what goes first, the cloak or the power pack. I have to quickly refer to my instruction manual. Looks like the tabard and then the side bits go on. And then the shoulders, and then the head, then the power pack, and then the cloak comes off the power pack. Okay. Well, that's another bit of sculpting that we can do. Is the head, because the head is going to be a really tricky one. Because the head here, the one that I've got and the one that I want are quite different. So some modifications will need to be made. Let's cut out the head because we'll need to mix up some more green stuff for it. And while we're at it, we'll use the green stuff that we'll mix up for that to do... Oh, actually, I might be able to use this remaining green stuff here for the shoulder plate. But I will need to mix up some new green stuff to do the horns for the head. Because Ahriman's design is quite different to this one, and very important to identify him as Ahriman. Clean off the little sprues. And a lot of work will need to be done to this. So there's the head. Now first things first, let's see if we can use this remaining green stuff for the shoulder plate. Put that there. Now what we'll want is, let's figure out the size that we're working with. little bit of work can still be done to this, actually. Wait, no, that's the top edge. The bottom edge is here. So, let's just plant that like that. So we need to work in that space there that I've marked. And if it's down here, that should mark one edge or one corner. And then if I roll it around and push it, then that should mark my other corner. So the room that I have to work with to cut out this ram skull is about this space here. Now, I need to figure out how to do a ram skull. Just trace it with the tip of the tool first. It'll probably need to be something like a finer point tool. This one's got a finer point on it. Probably something like... Let's get some moisture underneath this so it doesn't stick to the bench while I press down. Probably looking at something like... just kind of tapping, like poking little little dents into it, trying to figure out the border of this thing. Okay. What do we reckon? Is that more or less a ram skull that I've outlined there? I think that's not bad. I don't think that's too bad. I think if we cut that out, I'd be happy enough with it. I think this horn needs to be a bit larger. Otherwise, I don't think it's terrible. So, let's see if we can actually cut this out neatly now. Just gonna poke down with my knife, just press down until I can trace it. Okay. I don't know how well I cut that out. Let's look at the other side. I didn't get through it at all. This is so bad. Am I not able to peel this off at all? Such a fiddly thing for me to try to cut out. There we are, we're making progress now. This is a painful process. Yeah, I think I have cut it out. I think it's free. I'm ready for it to now not fit. Okay, I just need to nip this little bottom corner here. Okay. We have an attempt at a ram skull. Now, how well can we make it fit onto this shoulder pad? It's a little lopsided. Just press it around. We'll want the just mold it around there. It's sitting there, it fits, and I think now if we just let it set, then we can start to tool away at it. So just get a wet sculpting tool and just smooth out the top of it. Then I can start to work away at it. So, for example, let's see if we can. Flatten the bottom nose of it a bit. If we can pick out some separation between the horns and the skull. And I'm wondering if it would be better for me to actually just do the skull first, ignore the horns, and then come back through later and do the horns. I think that's actually probably a better idea. Let's completely remove the horns and just do the skull first. And I can come back through and do the horns afterwards. Then I can at least just focus on the shape of the skull. Let's set this back down. And let's make sure we actually just get it on there. So we'll put a tiny, tiny bit of super glue on there. Just the littlest bit. And then we just use our tool to swivel it around into the position we want it to be in. And just shape it a bit to be more like what we want. Just zoom this out a little bit because I notice I keep moving out of the frame. Now this is glued down, I'm basically just trying to mold this into being as skull-like as possible. Just trying to scratch some grooves into it. And what we'll need, the big things, will be, we pull in for the eye socket here. We really want to define the eye socket. There, and pull this down so that we can help build it up. Oh shit. Oh shit. Not what we want at all. Smooth that out a little bit. Okay. Pick up a little bit of super glue on the end of my my tool. What the fuck was that noise? Pardon? Oh, I think I see. Oops. Ignore that. Wind. Okay, there we are. That should hopefully hold it down a bit. Then just need to clean off the tool so that I don't have any dried super glue on it. And while that happens, we'll wet the tool and we'll see if we can just carve away at the eye socket a little bit. Just easy does it. Push in from underneath, and that should hopefully give us some body to the eye socket as well as we just expand it out. Just gently pushing it in and turning our tool as we go. There's one, and let's do the other. This is making the skull look kind of human. So I think what I'm going to need to do is really, I need to make the eye sockets long rather than wide, if you know what I'm saying, because human eye sockets, I think they're more shaped horizontally, where since this is an animal, they need to taper towards the snout. It'll help as well when I get the nostrils in. It'll help sort of break it up, because right now this looks like a mouth, which we don't want. So I might need to come back in with a tiny bit more green stuff, just to really help define what we've got. Yeah, the bottom half of this, I think, is it's sort of all merged with the glue, and so it's looking a bit icky, so we'll need to play around with that a bit. But for the eye sockets, I think what I can do is get them defined like this, and then if I just wet the tool a little bit, and actually just grab a bit of the head up above the eye sockets and drag it down. I think I can sort of cut off the top corner a little bit and make it a bit more beast-like. I just drag this down and then extend this up the side a bit. And now it looks like an alien. It's better. This eye, I'm really happy with this eye. The other one's not great though. Yeah, I don't know how I can really tool this to more like an animal skull. I really pull this down a bit. I think that can help, but I think once I get the horns in as well, that'll really help. I think that's actually a fair bit better than what I had, at least. Just need to make sure the eye sockets are deep enough. Maybe if I just really poke them in there. That way I don't accidentally fill them. Honestly, not the worst. I'm kind of happy with this. I'll need to clean it up a bit. But that one's okay at least. Set that aside. All the remaining green stuff here is too dry to really work with. So we'll put that with our scraps. And we can start thinking about how we're going to do Ahriman's helmet. Because I want to get the horns for that done before we start working on everything else. The staff head is drying up quite nicely, so that'll be cool. We're working with that there, so it'll be like that. And then... that. So once we we'll be able to sculpt this back and sort of carve it into the right sort of shape and size. That'll be very cool. But the head. This is the main thing that we need to get right. Because this is the head that we have, and we need to make it look like Ahriman's head somehow. So what I reckon needs to be done is the beak-like face needs to go, so we need to lop off his nose. Eyes are fine. Top of the head needs to go. So this section here. So in fact, let's just do this first. All this shit can say bye-bye. 1 and 2. Actually, might cut it back down a little bit further. Here. And here. And then we'll clean that up. I'm gonna make that a bit smaller just so that it's not in the way. Okay, so we've removed the top of the head. And now what we want to do is we just want to flatten this beak. Just smooth that out a little bit. It looks like the way Ahriman's helmet is his eyes and mouth are all connected through a little slit. I might see if I can just carve all of that together. Just smooth his this freshly round out section. Just smooth that a bit. So, this is what we're working with now. So what we want to do, I reckon, is maybe extend his jaw a tiny bit. I don't know how usable these final little bits of green stuff are. I think they're a bit too hard to work with. Let's get a little bit more green stuff. Really only the tiniest little bit if we can. So just take very narrow sliver from the end there. Forgot to wet the blade. Wet our blade and see if we can just get the very end off of this. I think I've got a bit too much hardener here, but that might actually help me out a little bit in just getting a nice solid section. Yeah, so this will probably end up being more of a blue mix than anything. But with a bit more hardener in it, like I said, it should be a bit firmer. And so we might actually get a really good basis for his chin. Just seal the box so that my green stuff doesn't go off. But yeah, let's mix this through and see how it looks. Yeah, I reckon I'm probably going to do his chin and face, and then I'm going to call the stream there, just because been going for 3 hours now, so not too bad. And so yeah, we'll get the chin and face done, and then I'll call the stream there, just because it's going to take a very long time for me to do the horns. Yeah, this is definitely a bit more of a blue mix than what we've got, so it should set harder and a little bit faster as well. So, we're trying to extend his chin just a tiny bit. Now, where is the part of his face that we're working with? There we are. I was looking at the back of his head. So, pop that there. And we just cut off a vast majority of this. We really only need a tiny bit. And we just want to give him that Chad jawline. And so hopefully, extending his chin like this shouldn't cause too many issues in terms of having it fit well. But the reason that I wanted to extend it out is just because Ahriman's face, or he does have quite a long chin. And so I want to make sure I can sort of do it justice at least. I don't want his face to look squished. I'm just gonna blend this up and over the front of the face just so that it all fits in quite nicely. So I don't want there to be a visible seam on his chin there. Really only a very minor extension. Yeah, hopefully that should be all we need to extend his chin to the right size, and then I can just get my knife, because what I wanted to do was connect the eye sockets with a slit. And then we just extend the slit down to his chin. From the center here. Bit of an awkward one to try to get right. feel like perhaps I might be better off waiting until the green stuff is dried before I try to get this. But if I just scratch away at it, that might be a better way rather than just trying to brute force it. Yeah, I think that might be good. Just get a bit of moisture on my finger. Try to wipe away any shavings. Nah, it can be scraped away some more. Yeah, I thought that I'd made some progress, but it's not as noticeable as I would like it to be. There we are. That's good. That's what we want. Now it's properly split. And I'll probably see if I can get a tiny bit more of the green stuff, just to actually build the chin up now that I've got the split in the face. Just split the green stuff over my thumbnail. Just get the amount that I need. Hey, I think that should be his face done. Really hard to get it in focus, but this is what we have come up with. Can I get it right up to the camera and keep it in focus, or no? Come on. Don't focus on my thumb, focus on the grey thing. There we are. So it's, we've managed to join the eyes and then run a split from the point where the eyes join down the chin. Just like with Ahriman's face. We cut off the bird mask so that we could do this. Yeah, so I think that should come out quite nicely. Once this is dried, we can sculpt it to make it a bit neater. We extended the chin a little bit with green stuff so that we could avoid having it look too squished. And then for the other parts, we've got over here the skull section of the ram head complete so far. Oh, well, not complete, but at least we've got the foundation of it there. We'll definitely need to revisit that and make that better because that looks kind of nasty at the moment. And then for next time, we will need what have we got? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna get rid of some of these images for the time being so we can just go over what we've accomplished today. It really doesn't feel like much because I spent so much time molding. We cut out all the bits. We've got the base there. We've glued together the body and one of the hands. We've made the staff. What I'll actually do, so I'll put all of the bits that we have done on top of this bit of baking paper so that we can see what's complete and what isn't. So we've got the staff, which the bits for it are drying at the moment, but it should come out along the lines of this. So that should be pretty cool. We'll still need to do the bits that dangle down below it, but that should be pretty cool. Oh, I think I've got that the wrong way around. It actually needs to be like this. That's more like what it is. So there's a staff. There's the man who will hold the staff. We've got the shoulder pads. So 1 and 2. That we smoothed out this one because we're going to need to do a design on top of it. And then we smoothed out this one so that we could put the ram head on it. We still need to do the horns for the ram head and then clean it all up. We've got his head here, which we've done some work on. We'll still need to do the horns for that. There's this little bit that's snapped off of the book, so I'll need to keep that there. What's left to be done? This is all the crazy fiddly stuff that we've been doing so far. Crazy fiddly stuff that's left over will just be horns of his helmet. From there, it's just put everything together. So then we'll just need to do all this shit, goes on the back, this goes on his back, that goes on the back of that. That's his power pack and robe. Then we've got his tabard, just goes on the front. Little bits of armor plating to go on the sides there. No issues. All the magic shit down the bottom, no issues. And then just put together the space marine that he's killing. I'm probably going to do a little bit of work on the Space Marine, make him look less chaosy so that I can do him up as a Space Wolf. But then with all that done, we will end up with a mini looking like that, but the sorcerer himself will look like Ahriman. So the staff, the heraldry on the shoulders, and the head will all look like Ahriman. That's the ultimate goal with this. A bit of a fun project, sort of breaking all this shit apart and then putting it back together. I think it's a nice change of pace for me, at least, from working on the 10 Infernus Marines, which are all just sort of simple, straightforward things that I'm just like painting away at. It's nice just to have something that I can build and focus on. But yeah, that is pretty much all I'm going to have time for today. Thanks for hopping by, you guys. Everyone who's in chat, everyone who wasn't talking. Good just to have people here. Makes it easier for me to toil away on these things. So yeah. Thank you for hopping by like always. I'll catch you guys all later.